Hi, welcome to the Gilbert Police Department's Testing and Hiring Tips. Today I will be going over useful information with you regarding our testing and hiring process. A very brief look into who I am. My name is Brenda Nottingham. I've been working in law enforcement for a total of 36 years, with 28 of those years being with the Gilbert Police Department. For the last 23 years, I've had the pleasure of working in the hiring unit as a background investigator. So the reason for this presentation is to help you understand what to expect if you apply and go through the testing process to become a police officer with our department. So first, let's go over some websites that will be beneficial to you to check out. Feel free to write these down so you can explore them later on. The first is the Town of Gilbert Human Resources website, which is www.gilbertaz.gov. Here you can view career opportunities and positions we are currently recruiting for, along with the benefits and compensations the town offers its employees. The second website is the Gilbert PD website, which is www.gilbertaz.gov/join GPD. Here you will find application timelines that will go up to our July 2021 testing cycle. You will also find information on the steps you will need to take to apply for the positions of police recruit or lateral officer, as well as a list of our minimum requirements for the position, automatic disqualifiers, information on the physical agility test, and compensation and benefits. The last website we'll touch base on is the Arizona Peace Officer Standards and Training Board, which is www.azpost.gov. On this website, some of the things you can find are the Arizona Post Rules, information about police employment opportunities, and police academy information. During today's presentation, I will be going over the following steps in the testing and hiring process: what to do prior to your application, the actual application, your personal history questionnaire, the virtual physical assessment, virtual oral board, your background investigation, and then the in-person written and physical tests, the polygraph examination, your medical examination with drug screen, as well as your psychological evaluation. So first off, let's take a look at what you can do to help prepare prior to the actual application process. First, you'll want to review the minimum requirements for the position. For that, you can go to the Town of Gilbert website and review the minimum requirements. Also, you'll want to review the automatic disqualifiers to make sure you're qualified to apply. This form will have specific information on disqualifiers such as drug use, criminal history, driving points on your driving record, etc. Start gathering the necessary paperwork you will need, such as updated driver's licenses, any legal records, which would include birth certificates, marriage licenses, divorce decrees, especially if there's a name change, and any bankruptcy paperwork if you filed for bankruptcy before. It would also include your high school diploma or GED, and any college transcripts, specifically if you've received over 25 college credit hours. Next, you'll want to organize and start gathering the following information: personal history information, such as residences for the past 5 years, any traffic citations you've received since driving. What we'll need on that is when you received the citation, where you received it, the issuing agency, what you were cited for, and how did you take care of the citation? Did you attend traffic school or pay a fine? Dates and locations of any civil actions, such as bankruptcies or divorces, will also need to be included. We'll also need your employment history. The form specifically instructs you to list all of your employment. Some of the information that you will need to supply for your employment are, first off, dates of employment, the name of the company that you worked for, the address and phone number for that company, and your supervisor's name and email address. If you don't have that information, you will need to do some legwork and try to get an email address for the HR department. You also need to supply at least 3 personal references, which would include their name, email address, home address, and phone number. Make sure you have an updated valid driver's license. Make sure you have a professional email account or email address as compared to something that would reflect negatively on you. Make sure you have voicemail set up on your phones and that your mailbox is not full. A lot of times we have trouble getting in contact with applicants because either their voicemail is not set up or when we do try to call, their voicemail is full. So that's another good point to make sure. Review your personal associations. Are the people you associate with going to hinder your chance of obtaining a job as a police officer, or will it affect your ability to carry out the duties and laws you will be expected to uphold? Are the life decisions you're making in line with this type of career? Think about how this type of career might affect you, your family, your spouse, or significant other. In all honesty, if you don't have the support behind you for this type of career, that could be a huge hindrance for you while in the police academy or while working out in the field. And last, your personal fitness. Don't make the decision to start working out a week before you decide to apply. This is something that you should already be working on, and if you aren't, get started now. If you're physically prepared ahead of time, that's one less thing you'll have to worry about during the testing process and during the academy. So now that you've gathered up all the needed paperwork to start the process, your first line will be to fill out the online application. You can do that at www.gilbertaz.gov/departments/human resources/career opportunities. Search for the police recruit and click on that link. Once the new box opens, click the green apply button in the top right corner. For this application, you will need to have your personal information and contact information, your work experience that you should have already collected, your education information, and any certificates, licenses, skills, languages, and supplemental information, as well as attachments. You can submit a resume, however, that will not take the place of filling out the information on the application. We will have 3 testing processes for the first half of 2021. Application windows for the first testing group will be applications received between October 1st of 2020 and December 31st, with testing beginning in January of 2021. The second application process will be January 1st to March 31st, with testing being in April. And then the last session will be April 1st to June 30th for applications, with testing being in July. After the application process closes, you will be sent an email advising of the next steps in the process, which will need to be completed within 1 week of receiving the email. One of the first things you will do is complete a remote physical assessment. This is designed to allow for social distancing and can be done without a second person present. If you cannot complete these, you definitely cannot complete the minimum requirements in person, which will be required later on in the process. The remote physical assessment will actually consist of a 1.5-mile run that will need to be done in less than 15 minutes and 48 seconds, a high plank hold for at least 1 minute, and also hand-release push-ups where you have 1 minute to do at least 14. Please remember, if you cannot successfully complete the remote physical assessment, you will not move on to the next step. You do have 1 week to complete these assessments, and be sure to record your results, as you will be required to forward that information to us later on. And always keep in mind that integrity during this process is of the utmost importance. For your 1.5-mile run, you'll want to make sure that you're on a flat and level course. It can be point to point, where you map something out on Map My Run. It can be 6 laps of a standard 400-meter track, or 8 laps of an indoor 200-meter track. If you're doing it on a treadmill, the treadmill does have to be on a 1% grade. You may walk or stop to rest during this event. However, the time must continue to run. For the high plank hold, you'll want to make sure that you do a minimum of 1 minute, that you form a straight line from your shoulders to your feet. Only your hands and toes contact the ground. Make sure that your hands are under your shoulders and your feet are together or no more than 1 foot apart. It is good to use a mirror or spotter to make sure that you have the correct form. Failure would be inability to hold for 1 minute, or any other portion of the body touching the ground, or if you are unable to maintain a straight line. Again, it is recommended that you use a mirror or spotter to ensure that you are not doing an improper high plank hold. And last but not least is the hand release push-ups. You have to do a minimum of 14 within 1 minute. And 1 complete hand release push-up means that you will begin in the down position, push up to a plank position and then return to the down position and briefly lift your hands off the ground. Again, it might be a good idea to use a mirror or spotter to check your form. If you feel that you want or need to see an example of the hand release push-ups, please refer to the link on this slide. Once you have successfully completed the virtual physical assessment, you will need to go to the Arizona Post portal to complete your Arizona Post Statement of Personal History. Once that is completed and you are still in the portal, you will need to share it with Gilbert PD. Make sure that before logging out or exiting the portal that you write down your Arizona Post Form ID number. From there, the next step will be filling out the Gilbert PD Personal History Questionnaire, which was a link that was sent to you in an email from our HR department. Take note that both questionnaires have extensive questions on your drug use, participation in criminal activity and your behavior, as well as driving history. Keep in mind that any false or misleading statements on those forms is cause to deny or revoke peace officer certification. So what are some common issues that we consistently see on the PHQs or the personal history questionnaires? Those can consist of blatant lies, lies of omission, partial truths, misrepresentation, and inconsistencies. The best way you can get through your PHQ is to be honest, ensure complete responses, and if you've answered yes to a question, provide a full explanation as far as what happened. Remember, this form will be used to guide the background and the polygraph later on in the process. If you participate in an oral board interview, there will be 3 to 4 panelists consisting of both sworn and civilian police department employees. Your oral board will consist of anywhere from 5 to 7 questions, and your answers will be scored on a point scale system. In an oral board interview, we are not going to ask you questions you would only know as a law enforcement officer with training. For instance, we do not expect you to know specific laws. However, we are asking you questions that show you are prepared to enter a career in law enforcement. We will be assessing your competency as a person. For example, if a question is how do you handle stressful situations, we are looking for solution-based resolutions, not locking yourself in your room with a good movie or crying or hitting the wall until your anger subsides. So what are some tips on how to prepare for your oral board? First, research most commonly asked interview questions online. Prepare your answers to those questions. Make sure that you practice, and you can have another person ask you the questions. Practice verbal responses. Think of questions specific to law enforcement. Be sure to research current events in law enforcement and also research information about the department that you are testing with. So what are ways that you can prepare for your actual oral board interview? Here's some tips that can be done for in-person interviews or virtual oral board interviews, which is the way that we're currently doing things. First off, if you're going to be in person, make sure that you research the location of where your interview is going to be taking place. Make sure that you know where you're going to be showing up. Be punctual, dress professionally, enter the room with confidence, and greet the panelists, but greet in the way that you are comfortable. If you're pouring sweat on your palms, maybe don't shake hands with the panel, and that's okay. Your score is based on the content of your answers, not your appearance or other factors, but those just leave an impression. Make sure that you're watching your body language. If you believe that you are the best person for the job, show us, tell us. Make sure you listen to the question that's being asked. It is okay to ask to repeat the question. Think before you speak. Make sure that you're speaking clearly. Make sure that you're answering the complete question. Some of them do have 2 parts. And make sure that you elaborate on your answers. Give examples. If your oral board interview is going to be done virtually, here are a few tips to keep in mind. First, ensure that you have reliable internet connection. Make sure that your device allows for both audio and video. Test the interview platform that you'll be using. Practice answering your questions virtually prior to your interview. Find a quiet, comfortable space. Make sure that you don't receive assistance from anyone else in the room or have reference material in front of you. And you'll want to make sure that you limit your distractions, such as cell phones, kids, dogs, landscapers outside. And first and foremost, make sure that you are ready for your interview on Arizona time. Should you pass your oral board interview, you will be placed on the candidate eligibility list. This is a highly competitive process, and you will be contacted based on your rank. The highest qualified candidate could be contacted within a week or two, and the lowest ranking may not get contacted before the expiration of the list. Keep in mind, we do not reveal your ranking to you, as it is a constant changing process. People can move forward at different rates. We do have 6 background investigators working anywhere from 5 to 20 candidates at one time. Some people decline to move forward. Some are in the testing process for other police agencies. And then, of course, with 3-month testing cycles, we have new testing lists every 3 months. Once you've been contacted by a background investigator to start your background process, it's a good idea to go back into the Arizona Post portal and review your statement of personal history to make sure nothing has changed. You will be forwarded an honesty agreement and a financial credit disclosure notice that you will need to read, sign, and return to your background investigator. If you have any questions about the forms, please ask your background investigator. And then additional documents that we will need from you are your birth certificate, high school diploma, your college transcripts, any bankruptcy documents, DD 214 Member 4 form if you were in the military, and marriage certificate or divorce decree if there's been a name change. Your actual background investigation will consist of a background interview with your assigned investigator, who will then conduct criminal history checks, credit history checks, a DMV check, records requests for agencies where you've worked, lived, attended school, or had police contacts. We will also contact agencies that you've applied to, do personal reference checks, employment verifications, military records checks, social media review. We'll check court records, our own Gilbert PD records, neighborhood checks, and if you're a lateral, we also check the Brady and integrity lists. So what are our top 3 issues that we see when conducting background investigations? We see failing to submit requested paperwork, applicants not responding to requests for documents or appointments in a timely manner, and the one that we see most overall is applicants withholding information in the background interview, which is later revealed in the polygraph examination or during the background investigation. So what's our advice to you from the background investigators? First, we don't expect anyone to be perfect, but we do expect you to be honest. Tell the truth no matter how embarrassing it may be. More than likely we've heard it before. And this is a competitive recruitment with many qualified candidates. Follow the instructions accurately and timely to assist your background process proceed smoothly. Shortly after your background interview is done, you will be contacted and scheduled to complete your in-person physical assessment. That assessment will be proctored by Gilbert PD employees. Make sure that you dress in appropriate workout attire and take into consideration the weather. If you're scheduled at 7 a.m. in the winter, dress warmly, and if you're testing at 1 p.m. in the summertime, don't overdress. Make sure your shoes are comfortable and broken in for the run, and feel free to bring a water and towel if you feel it's needed. Also, you want to bring your ID for check-in. Our in-person PT standards are 36 sit-ups, 20 push-ups, and a 1.5 mile run. For the sit-up portion of the PT, you must complete a minimum of 36 sit-ups within 1 minute. Your spotter will hold your feet with their hands. You must keep your fingers behind your ears, and your elbows must pass your knees as you come up. When going back down, your shoulder blades must touch the ground, and keep in mind that you cannot catapult yourself up. If you feel you must rest, you need to do so in the up position. Remember, this is like a sprint because it is time for 1 minute. You must work quickly, but keep in mind that taking a break does risk not finishing in time. So what are some ways that you can prepare for the sit-up portion? First, find a sit-up improvement program online. Focus on the entire abdomen and practice core yoga. Time yourself for 1 minute, set a weekly goal, and remember that the abs can train daily. For the push-up portion of the test, you must complete a minimum of 20 push-ups, and there is no time limit. During the push-ups, you must maintain a flat back, have your feet no more than 1 foot apart, and your hands below your shoulders. Your chest must touch the spotter's hand when coming down, and have a full extension of your arms when going back up. And keep in mind, only your hands and toes can touch the ground during this process. Ways that you can help prepare for the push-up portion of the test is find a push-up training program online. Hold long, high plank holds, vary your hand positions and angles, practice strength yoga, and do upper body workouts such as arms, chest, and back. The 1.5 mile run will need to be completed in a minimum of 15 minutes and 48 seconds. This is a sidewalk route, not a street route. Remember, this is a run. However, walking is allowed if needed. Just keep in mind that you may not finish in the 15:48 time window. For this portion of the physical agility test only, headphones are allowed if you choose to wear them. Here are some tips for running success. First, find a runner's improvement program online. Find the right running shoes for you and make sure that you break your shoes in. Eat right, fuel your body properly. Take into consideration the time of day that you're training. Make sure that you're trying to run farther than 1.5 miles on a regular basis. You'll want to hydrate, get proper rest, and make sure that you warm up before each run. Most important, do not procrastinate. If you don't prepare now, you could be setting yourself up for failure. After your in-person physical assessment, it is important that you do not stop training. You'll want to continue eating healthy and take care of yourself. Avoid activities that could lead to injuries, and you'll want to find activities and exercises that focus on endurance, strength training, high-intensity training, and calisthenics. Once in the academy, you will be expected to complete the POPAT test, which is the Peace Officer Physical Aptitude Test. That consists of a 99-yard obstacle course where you will run a 99-yard obstacle consisting of several sharp turns, a number of curb height obstacles, and a 34-inch high obstacle that must be vaulted. You'll do a body drag where you lift and drag 165 pounds of a lifelike dummy 32 feet. You'll do a chain link fence where you run 5 yards, scale a 6-foot chain link fence, and continue running another 25 yards. A solid fence climb, again where you'll run 5 yards, scale the 6-foot solid fence, and continue running another 25 yards. And then last is the 500-yard run. That's equivalent to 1 lap plus 60 yards of a standard running track. If you successfully complete the in-person physical assessment test, you will then proceed to take the in-person written test, which will be proctored by Gilbert PD employees. It will take approximately 2 hours to complete and be multiple choice. Feel free to dress comfortably, business casual if feasible. Make sure to bring your ID for check-in and bring water if you feel that it's needed. The test will consist of memory recall section, grammar, and reading comprehension. Gathering details and writing reports is a very important part of police work. It's a good idea to read published books to improve on these skills. Sometime during your background investigation process, you will be scheduled to take a polygraph examination. The main thing to keep in mind is, were you honest and forthcoming in your background interview? If so, then you should have nothing to worry about. Some easy ways that you can prepare for your polygraph examination is to make sure that you get a full night's sleep the night before. Avoid too much caffeine, and make sure that you're healthy when you go in for your appointment. If you are suffering from cold symptoms, allergies, maybe pain from an injury, you will need to reschedule, as that could affect your polygraph results. Be sure to dress comfortably for your polygraph examination and avoid any online research that could lead to misleading information and also overthinking the process. So once you have successfully completed and passed all of the steps we've discussed so far, your completed background file will be reviewed by command staff. If you are in the group of best qualified applicants, you will receive a conditional job offer and will then be scheduled for a medical examination, drug screen, and psychological evaluation. The medical examination and drug screen will be performed at a Banner facility and will be done by Arizona Post certified medical professionals. The examination will assess your physical ability to perform the required job duties. It will consist of your family history, your medical history, as well as the exam itself and also a drug screen. The drug screen will be done through a urinalysis, and it checks for marijuana, THC, narcotics, and dangerous drugs. If you feel the need to check our drug automatic disqualifiers, they can be found on our hiring website. Your psychological evaluation will be conducted by an Arizona Post certified psychologist and will consist of testing and an oral interview with the psychologist. This evaluation will assess your mental and emotional preparedness for a career in law enforcement. Once we have your medical, drug screen, and psychological reports back, command staff will do a final review of your file and testing results. If you are given a final job offer, we will let you know of a start date and assign you to the next available academy. We hope this presentation has been informative to you, and hopefully we've shed some light on our testing and hiring processes. But if you have any further questions, please contact us at gpdrecruiting@gilbertaz.gov.